Morning. We'll let people get in here, but Atlanta today, whole lot of chalk. Man, this starting lineup isn't super fun. I think we're going to end up eating a bunch of chalk today, but there's some avenues to get different, and we'll talk about that. Obviously, sportsbooks and everyone are very heavy on Penske. I think Bet365 has Blaney at 2.5 to 1, something like that, which is just, I mean, for an Atlanta race, I get it, but I also, all it does is create value down the betting board a little further. Like there's so many guys that are now 18, 20, even longer on the betting board that, you know, you can just sprinkle on them and hope that Penske doesn't have the best restart at the end. Like, I think Penske's going to control this race, but I don't think they should be that heavily favored. I think there's a good chance that Penske is going to dominate, but plus 250 at a pseudo super speedway like Atlanta is, I'm not agreeing with that. There's a lot of ways. And we also got, you know, the guys starting in the back. Hamlin, Bell. Who else was back there? Hamlin, Bell, Gibbs, all of JGR really didn't qualify very well. Chastain's back there. Stenhouse is back there. LaJoie's back there for a lower dollar guy. Suarez, who has a great track record here, is back, starts back there as well. Morning, 11 a.m. Getting ready to kick off this day. I'm excited for this race. I'm excited to watch this race. Last week I was so busy, and I was able to watch Daytona, but I was just so exhausted by race time that I got to watch it, but I really didn't, if that makes sense. So I'm excited to be in my normal schedule this weekend with Atlanta, get out there and watch the race, and you know, hopefully we all have a good day. How dead is Zane Smith this? How dead to us is Zane Smith this week? I put out a tweet last week. Christopher Bell, Zane Smith, a lot of other things, and then actual dead people. That's the ranking. Those two are so dead to me. And Christopher Bell's been on my dead to me list for a while. Just, I mean, that probably dates back 2 years. And it was even worse because I had a bet on Bell, I think at 33 to 1 last week. And obviously, you know, he was up there fighting for the lead in the closing stages and gets turned into the wall by Custer there at the end. That was frustrating, but yeah, Zane Smith is, I don't even know. I still don't know what happened there. I don't know how he wrecked. Like, that was the most Zane Smith style of wreck I've seen. If I could describe Zane Smith, that's what it'd be. And you know what? He'll probably end up in the optimal today, and it'll just further cement his place on my dead to me list. Trackhouse, Joe Gibbs stacks. Yeah, I mean, it's chalky. We're gonna have to eat chalk somewhere today, and you can't really go wrong with those. I love Trackhouse at this track. I fully believe that they have something figured out here. Suarez says that it's because it's such a tighter track than Daytona and Talladega, so he likes it better and it more fits his driving style. But it's the same thing. It's the same thing we see every time. With those two, with Suarez and Chastain, and you can even throw Stenhouse in there. They never qualify well, but they always race really well. I mean, you look at Suarez, top 6 in 5 of the 6 races here. Chastain has a couple of runner-up finishes. He was running fourth last summer before he got put in the wall on the last lap. I mean, Trackhouse is just so good here. I think they're going to be fine. It actually makes me like SVG a little bit more today, starting 30th. You know, I think Trackhouse has something figured out here. Stenhouse is always good here. But yeah, I mean, Atlanta in general, you know, just to start breaking down, you know, this race, you know, we're coming off of Daytona, which we all know how Daytona works. It's so random. It's a drafting track. You know, that's all you need to focus on. All we're focusing on at Daytona is place differential. And they switched over. Atlanta used to be for people that are new to the sport, or people that, you know, are just getting into DFS. Atlanta used to be one of my favorite tracks. And it was also one that I used to like. My biggest paydays in DFS have come at Atlanta. It has been my number one track for a while, up until so it used to be super abrasive. We'd see one guy, you know, Kevin Harvick or Kyle Larson or someone just go out and absolutely dominate the shit out of a race. And it would just be, it wasn't exciting for the fans. So they repaved it, reconfigured it, and made this into a smaller Daytona or Talladega. Drafting and pack racing now comes into play a lot in Atlanta, but it is such a more narrow track than Daytona and Talladega that I say driver skill then comes more into play than just the luck factor like at Daytona. Guys can finish well, guys can win races at Daytona simply by avoiding a wreck, being in the right space at the right time, and you know, getting lucky. Atlanta, I think, requires a little bit more driver talent, and that's why we see these guys like Suarez and Chastain and like, you know, Blaney, Chase Elliott, William Byron. All these guys have really, really good records here, really consistent records here, and it's just because Atlanta's a little bit different than Daytona and Talladega. Now, with that being said, DFS-wise, we're still focusing on place differential here, but this opens the door, and we need to focus more on potential dominators there starting up front. Whereas Daytona, you know, my recommendation last week at Daytona was basically do not roster anyone in the top 5 for sure, probably not in the top 10. This week, I feel like you definitely can. I would recommend it. How heavy we want to go on some of these guys starting up front is going to be something that we discussed. But, you know, we saw last year, we saw the Penske guys, we saw not Chastain, but Cindric lead 92 laps, I think. Blaney led a good chunk of laps, and then Logano ended up winning. You know, it's let me pull up these numbers here quick. So yeah, last summer we had Ty Gibbs lead 30. We still see, here's the thing. We still see a good amount of like individual lap leaders. But one, this is a longer race than Daytona and Talladega. Today's race is, let me make sure I get my numbers right here. Today's race is 260 laps. Fastest laps are still going to be like Daytona and Talladega. We probably won't see anybody get more than like 12. And they're going to be spread out. They're going to be earned by the guys that are riding around in the back of the pack, just like we saw at Daytona. But lap leaders, you know, we should see a good number of them, but we have the tendency to see more concentrated lap leaders here. We saw Logano lead 140 laps here in 2023. We saw Chase Elliott lead 96 laps here in 2022. We saw Cindric lead 92 laps here last summer. Last spring was a little more spread out, but we still saw Todd Gilliland lead 58 laps. We saw McDowell lead 27 laps. Cindric led 32 laps in the first race last year. Blaney led 31 laps. So we have to put a little bit more emphasis on the laps led and take it more into account. Now, my concern here this week, and this is all just full transparency here. This is my contrarian brain working. The Penske Fords are getting so much hype that it makes me want to definitely go underweight on them. And I'm probably going to regret this later in the day when they finish, you know, when they all finish top 10 and one of them leads 70 laps and another one leads 50. But they are getting so much hype that it's going to cause their ownerships to be probably higher than they should be. So as far as DFS, and I haven't fully solidified my lineups, we'll get to lineup building here in a little bit. I don't mind being underweight on Penske because of the potential for them not to stay up there and lead the laps and not control this race. Do I think that they're going to control this race? Yes. Is it a guarantee? No. Should Ryan Blaney, Joey Logano, Austin Cindric be 30% owned today? I don't think so. Not starting first, not the potential for one issue to happen. Even if Blaney goes out there and leads 40 laps, one, he's not going to get any fastest laps leading. Two, one mistake, one wreck, and it's just like Daytona. He's done. He's not going to be in the line in the optimal lineup. He's not going to be close because he's starting on the pole. So you need, if you're putting Blaney in your lineup today, you need him to not only lead laps but also finish top 5, especially at his price and especially at Cindric's price. So as much as, like I said, this is a very chalky week. There's places to get different, but it's going to come down to what we do with Penske and what happens with them and where they finish and what side of the coin you want to be on. Me, I'm contrarian. I like to be underweight on guys like that are getting overhyped. I also like being underweight on the more chalky place differential plays. I like like the middle ground there. I like to take advantage of, like today, maybe a Chase Elliott or the guys starting in the 20s. More of those guys. Kyle Busch, I think, is a good alternate dominator with a little bit more place differential upside than the Penske guys. But we've seen Kyle Busch. I mean, he led 24 laps here last summer. He led 28 laps in the spring race. Kyle Busch can win this race. He's really good here. And he can also lead laps. So why not just shift some ownership over to Kyle Busch instead of Penske guys and try to get that leverage there? I also really like the Hendrick guys this week, especially William Byron. Byron's a 2-time winner here at this new Atlanta. And not a lot of people are talking about him today, and I'm not sure why. He's starting mid-pack. He has place differential upside. He can win. He's won here before. He's just coming off the win at Daytona. But with so much focus being on the place differential, that the Hamlins, the Bells, and then the Penske guys, people aren't going to be able to afford Byron in their lineup. So I like being overweight on Byron. I really do. And Chase Elliott's one of my favorite plays on the slate. Yeah. So since it's not true, I like that. I like, and not necessarily like all the way in the back. Like I don't love building lineups today where it's like, Bell, Hamlin, Suarez, Chastain, LaJoie, or whoever, back there, and then one Cindric guy. I think that's going to be so duplicated that if it does hit, which, I mean, my optimal projected lineup is, I don't think it has any of the Penske guys in it. It's all place differential, but it's going to be so duplicated. I like to get different and just do small pivots because, if you do take this thing down, the big GPP with 100,000 to first, you're going to be splitting it with tons of people. So I'd rather just do a small pivot with similar upside. Do you need a dominator? I think you definitely need a dominator in the sense that you need the guys that are gonna lead laps. Now, I think the question is it guaranteed to be the guy starting up front, or is there the potential for a Chase Elliott to get up there and lead laps? Like Brad Keselowski or Chris Buescher, the guys that still have place differential upside, William Byron, even the guys in the back, because the Hamlins and the Bells and the Stenhouses can still be dominators. They might not lead the opening laps, but they can still get up there, so you need if you're max entering, you need exposure to the Penske guys, but don't feel like you absolutely need to put one of those guys in lineups. I don't mind lineups without them for sure. But like I said, I do think they're going to win the race. So, what's the difference in SVG at 5,500 and the other bottom feeders starting in the back? Like I said, I like Trackhouse today. Let's see who else is down there. So like SVG, obviously a solid play, I think, starting 30th. Hocevar is going to be one of those guys. He's going to hang around in the back. That's what he does at these type of tracks. So he's not really going to make his moves till the end of the race. To me, a lot of these guys are the same. Cody Ware, we saw that 15 car finish, I think 14th with Kaz Grala last year in it here at Atlanta. So it's not, they can certainly get there. BJ McLeod, JJ Yaley, the way I look at it is Cody Ware probably has a car to get up there to like mid 20s on speed. BJ McLeod probably mid to high 20s on speed. JJ Yaley, he's going to be a 30th place driver. The thing is how much attrition are we going to see? At Atlanta, we really don't see like big wrecks. There's the potential for big wrecks, yes, but it's not like a guarantee like we see at Daytona and Talladega. So you are relying even more on chaos when you're dipping down to the Cody Wares, the BJ McLeods, and the JJ Yaleys this week. That's why I like SVG more, because he actually has competitive equipment that can fully get up there that I trust more. I also think I don't know how many people are going to be on SVG today. I've seen like some people talking about him, other people disregarding him. I personally like him as a cheap option today. Obviously LaJoie's back there starting 35th. He's really good at Atlanta, but that's another Rick Ware car. Will him and Cody Ware work together and try to get to the front? Could you pair those two up? I don't hate it, but there's so many ways you can go down here. Ty Dillon probably starts a little too far forward, but at the same time, Colleague is pretty good on super speedways. If he can pull off a top 10 finish, not awful by any means. Riley Herbst, I think he has a start here, if I remember right. Doesn't have much track history, so I think he could definitely end up being under-owned compared to his 27th place starting spot. I like being overweight on Herbst. But to answer your question, the difference between SVG and the bottom feeders is he just has a more reliable car and similar upside. So I trust him a little bit more. I don't really use like Xfinity or truck stuff to try and understand how the Cup race may play out. I think the good cars are going to be able to get to the front, and it's going to come down to the drivers and their spotters being able to make the moves. That's what it's going to come down to. Yeah. I think SVG is going to be decently low owned today compared to where he should be. I think he's going to be in that 10 to 15% range. I like being more at 20 or even higher. I like Trackhouse today. I really do. I think Chastain can win this race. I think Suarez has something figured out here. I think he's a top 10, top 5 car. And SVG, I mean, he looked good at Daytona. I think he can get up there and race here at Atlanta as well. Starting 30th. Serious question. Penske cars actually superior. Yeah. Penske cars have been the best here at Atlanta since it's been repaved, reconfigured. Just looking at driver rating, it's not gonna pull up. I think it's another thing I love about race days is driver averages not working, which is my go-to site for quick stats. I think it's Blaney Logano 1-2 driver rating at this new Atlanta, and then Elliott Byron. Toyota's never won here. 6 races here on the new track. Toyota's never won. Ford, I think, has 2 wins, and then Chevy has the other 4. I think. I could be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. So I like them both for top 10. I think Elliott can win this race. I love Chase Elliott today. Chase Elliott's really good here. Really good here. It's his home track. And don't forget how good that car looked at Daytona. That was, you could just tell that car was fast just watching it in the draft and get to the front. That car is fast. They got a little bit of extra speed on super speedways. Best chalk fade. Oh, I forgot to mention Ty Gibbs is back there too. And he led, how many laps did he lead here last time? Gibbs led 37 laps last summer. The best chalk fade, to me, I don't know. It's kind of a toss-up. I like, to me, it's Hamlin, honestly. I think he's going to be the highest owned of the guys back there. And if I'm going to, I definitely wouldn't fully fade him, but if I'm going underweight, Hamlin's definitely going to be a guy to consider going underweight on. I like shifting ownership over to Ty Gibbs. Stenhouse and Chastain are solid back there. Bell's solid back there. They're all good. They're all good picks. Like there's no way to accurately try and figure out who trying to say who to go underweight on. This is just pure luck. It all depends how the race plays out and who has issues. Because when you're going underweight on these chalk guys, like Hamlin's one of the best super speedway racers. Gibbs was good here. Stenhouse is really good here. Chastain's really good here. Bell has actually crossed the finish line, top 5 in 3 of the 6 races here on this new track. Suarez is really good here. They're all starting 29th or worse. There's really no reasoning to go underweight on any of them other than pure game strategy and hoping something happens. Yeah, that is true. Optimal lineups in the past usually featured 2 drivers starting in the top 10. Yep. And that's what it comes down to, nailing the dominators. At the same time, I don't think, while I agree with this, and that is historically what has happened, don't forget that I don't think we've had this much chalk place differential at Atlanta, which is, sorry, I'm about to sneeze. At least I thought I was. We haven't had this much chalk at Atlanta in my memory. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure we haven't. I'll pull up last year's Atlanta's. One second here. And that just, so my point here being is we have so many good guys with place differential upside that this could definitely be the week or the race at Atlanta where we don't get the 2 drivers starting in the top 10, just because there's so many other points on the board for place differential. Like we don't have Josh Williams starting in the back. We have Denny Hamlin and Christopher Bell, which are top tier. Last fall or last spring's the first Atlanta race last year we had Chase Elliott starting 28th. He was the biggest big name driver in the back. We had Corey LaJoie starting 32nd, Stenhouse starting 27th, Keselowski starting 24th, Bell starting 22nd. And those are those are chalk place differential plays on that slate. Chastain starting 21st, but they're not all starting in the 30s, which is what we're seeing this weekend. The second Atlanta race last year had Hamlin starting dead last, which that was the race that he did not care about. And then it was the rest of the guys in the 31st through 37th ahead of Hamlin was Cody Ware, Carson Hocevar, Eric Jones, Zane Smith, John Hunter Nemechek, BJ McLeod, JJ Yaley. No big name guys there. Suarez starting 30th, got 40% ownership. Jones had 28% just because, you needed that other mid-tier guy with place differential upside. Christopher Bell, again, starting mid-20s. But, again, we didn't have the number of guys starting outside the top 30 or 29th or worse as we do this week. And that's where I think the place differential is going to be more important today. How you feel about LaJoy in a Rick Ware racing car? I don't mind. He's fine. He's really good here. I probably don't have enough LaJoy in my lineups that I've made so far, but he'll be fine. I agree with this. Is Cindric being slept on? Logano and Blaney are going to be first click for most people, and I don't think a lot of people are going to go all three Penske. I think they're going to go. I mean, that's definitely my recommendation today. Max of 2 and probably just 1 of Penske. Yes, Cindric's going to be the lowest owned of the 3 Penske guys. Do I still think he's going to get a decent amount of ownership? Yes. But to me, if I'm going for like tournaments especially, give me Cindric, who just led 90-something laps here, who's going to be relatively low owned compared to his teammates. I think he's going to be in that 15 to 20% range, whereas Logano and Blaney are going to be over 20%. So I think Cindric, yes. Slept on. I think, I don't know if that's the exact way we want to put it, but yes, from what I think we're on the same page. Elliott or Blaney, most point. I like Elliott. Projections wise, I think I have Elliott over Blaney. Yeah. Yeah. SPG, yeah. Definitely higher ceiling than those lower guys. I agree, Matt. Best chalk fade is Hamlin. Definitely not his best track, and he's going to be the highest owned back there. So give me underweight. The hardest part, so I'm feeling underweight on the Toyotas, overweight on the Toyota starting 14th to 28th. I don't think Gibbs is going to have near the ownership of Hamlin or Bell back there. So then the other Toyotas, I agree with this. Eric Jones starting 28th is a perfect place to pivot off of some of this chalk. He's a great super speedway racer. Starting 28th, he has the upside. Chase Briscoe, Truex was always really good here, and Briscoe has had good runs here. And that's another guy that people are not talking about today is Chase Briscoe. He obviously had the penalty. He went from winning the pole at Daytona to being dog shit again this week. But Briscoe's another guy. Yeah, I like that range. We're right on the same page, Matt. John Hunter Nemechek, he has a way of surviving these races. Starting 22nd, I'm not going crazy on John Hunter Nemechek, but I can understand getting there. Maybe throwing a few darts with him. Tyler Reddick, just finished runner-up at Daytona. He's been really good here at Atlanta in the past. And then Bubba, starting 14th. Another guy that's probably going to go overlooked because he's in that weird range where there's not a lot of other, you can just go so many other ways. So, yeah, I agree. Overweight on Toyota starting in that range. Yeah, you should tell that to NASCAR Media, who still doesn't have my account active. Yeah, I think RFK will be strong today. My podcast co-host Nick Giffen, he's on Busher top forward at 16-1, and I agree with it. That's solid. That's solid value on the betting board. I don't know if RFK can dominate this race though. Like, I think they can be there to try to win it at the end, which means you should have exposure. But I'm not going crazy on exposure because I don't see the dominator upside. Starting 8th or 9th, you kind of need that. I'd rather go with Kyle Busch, who can go out here and lead 100 laps. Yeah. Yep. Like, we were just, basically the same thing. Back-to-back comments here. Busher, Kez, Priest. I'm not as high on Priest. Like, to me, if RFK is going to control this race for a bit, the leader is going to be Kez or Busher. Probably Busher, because Kez will push him up there. And Priest will just be the third guy in line. So he's just going to run third, not grab any fastest laps, not grab any laps led. Now you're relying on finishing position for Priest, who starts 11th. Like, I'm not getting there with Priest. I don't see him as the dominator. So yes, no one's talking about him, but I also think that is fine that nobody's talking about him, because I don't see him getting into the optimal significantly more than where his projected ownership is. So I'm not seeing any advantage there in going more on Priest. Lean between Herbst and Hocevar. No. Flip a coin. Herbst will probably be lower owned. So if you want to go that route, go Herbst. Toyota's race better. Hocevar. Okay, to fully answer your question, my lean would be slightly Herbst, because Hocevar, while the hanging out in the back of the pack works at Daytona and Talladega, it's much more difficult to pull off here if you can't make the moves. Like, Daytona and Talladega, we know we're going to get a big wreck, and that's going to push you up in the lineup. We're not going to get that at Atlanta, so you're going to need to make the moves. Hocevar is going to need to make the moves through the field, and he's going to need someone to help him. So he's not only going to have to time the moves correctly, but he's going to need some help. To me, I think Herbst is going to be more aggressive, which inherently increases his risk, because, he's inexperienced in cup cars. He could wreck out. So higher risk of wrecking out, but higher chance of actually racing and getting to the front than Hocevar, who's going to probably hang out in the back and then try to make it at the end. Interesting. All right, just so I can visualize this. So most optimal lineup should start Byron, Logano. I talked about Byron. I like Byron a lot. Larson's good. Suarez, Cindric, and Jones. Interesting. That's getting off the chalk. Also, that doesn't. You can't fit that. But I don't think I'd go Cindric and Logano in a lineup. But I don't mind this. Like, this is definitely a way to start. I'm just going to tweak this. Like, I definitely don't mind this at all. But I'm going to tweak it a little bit. I'm going to go Kyle Busch instead of Logano. And then give me, flip between Chastain and Stenhouse or Gibbs. Honestly, I'd probably just do all three. And you could even do a Reddick line if you wanted to, but I think you need some of that deep chalk. This only gets you one of the 30 chalk. So this, I think this is a good way to get off, as we were talking, getting off so much chalk in the back. Now, is this aggressive? Absolutely. But one of these times, Kyle Larson is going to finish a race here. He's had the speed. He just can't finish. And it's one of those times, do you want to be overweight on Larson at a track that he's had speed, that at a week that people are probably overlooking him where he's underpriced? I like the pairing here. I kind of wish we had enough room to go up to Chase. I mean, you could come off of Byron and go to Chase if you wanted to. I mean, you could go off of Byron, go down to Chase here, and then go off of Larson and go to Cindric or Hamlin. See, this is my problem. I like that a lot. I actually like this one a lot. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and put this one in. Let me get my spreadsheets right here. But it kind of gives you an idea. There's so many ways to go today, which makes this slate a ton of fun to build lineups for, but also frustrating because there's so many ways to go. All right. Chastain. I like that. I like that Eric Jones in there. I do. I really like this lineup. And like I said, you can go Chastain. You can go, there's room to go if you wanted to go Reddick, but then you can go Stenhouse and you can go Gibbs, which is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do this exact same lineup with one with Stenhouse, one with Gibbs, and then one with Chastain. Not to mention as we started with Byron on there as well. What am I missing here? Chase Elliott. There we go. All right. Now, I will note, a lineup like this, going Cindric and Kyle Busch, you need them both to lead. But to me, if I'm going away from the chalk, this is how I kind of want to do it. Where the hell is Suarez at? Anybody 6K and below? Let me put this lineup in real quick. I like Herbst. I like him as a pivot. Hocevar, we just talked about him. Same thing. SVG is one of my favorite lower dollar guys on the slate, and then Cody Ware. So I'm not going crazy down in this price range. I don't think you need to go that far down. There's obviously potential to or reason to go down there. Like there's no reason to use all your cap space this week, just like Daytona. But those are the four that I like quite a bit down there. I would rank SVG, Herbst, Ware, Hocevar in that order. Yeah, it's really not that lineup really wasn't terrible. It's a good like starting point to start going. Do I think McDowell's in a better ride this year? I think the potential is there for Spire to get better. I mean, we saw Hocevar impress last year. It's probably the best way to put it. It kind of also depends on the track type. Like obviously the Fords have the advantage raw speed wise at super speedways. I'm concerned about Spire. I'm always concerned when an organization expands. I think they need to go through a year, maybe two, of growing pains, which kind of, when people expect, results immediately, especially fantasy players and NASCAR fans are very impatient. So right now I can't say that McDowell's in a better ride than he had last year, but the potential is there for Spire to get there. I think they have a good amount of funding to get to a very good organization. Let's see here. Like Austin Dillon today. Yeah, so that's another guy that people are probably sleeping on is Austin Dillon. And you got to remember, RCR is good here. RCR is kind of like Trackhouse. They bring good race cars to this new Atlanta. You remember when Reddick was driving for RCR, he was good here. So I agree. It's definitely risky to roll with Austin Dillon today, starting 15th. The place differential price. Am I having a stroke? The place differential upside isn't super high. With Dillon, I'm not going crazy on Austin Dillon. When I ran my first amount or like my first run of lineups this morning, where did I ended up? I only ended up like 5% Austin Dillon. I can see him getting there, but it's also going to take a top 5 finish for him to get there. So Busher, a better bet, 25. I'm not a huge fan of I hopped on Chase Elliott 22-1 when that dropped. I hopped on Stenhouse 80-1 and Chastain at 40-1 for today's race. With that being said, and those all moved significantly lower. Like I jumped on them because the markets were overreacting to Penske Fords and it created too much value down further. Like Chastain 40-1 here is insane. Stenhouse 80-1. I'm betting that every time, and I don't like betting outrights, but here I am betting Chase. I'm betting Stenhouse and betting Chastain because there's so much value. Is Busher a better bet than DFS? Probably, but I'm not just gonna we've talked about on Stacking Denny's before the pivots, or not the pivots, but the where you kind of play both sides. You go underweight on the guy on DFS because you have a bet on him. Busher, I'm fine with, because of how he races, he's not going to go out there and dominate. I would just, instead of betting Busher now, I would wait till the actual race starts and keep an eye on live lines because there's a potential that you could get him longer. because who's to say RFK isn't going to drop to the back and just ride around for a while? So I think you can actually probably get a better number on Buescher if you want to bet him than 25 drop now. And I saw Jim Sonis just bet Buescher 25 to 1. So obviously there's some very smart people on Buescher today. But to me, if I want to bet Buescher, I'm waiting till the race starts and I'm going to bet him live and hope to get him longer, because I don't think he's going to move much off that 25. Even if he goes out and starts leading, I don't think he's going to move much off that 25 on live. Bowman and Larson, both sneaky plays. I know Larson hasn't gotten the finishes here. Yeah. I mean, Larson, when he nailed the wall last summer, he was running third. He had one of the best cars. And I really like Larson today. I'm just curious to see what kind of ownership bump Larson's going to have, just because it's Kyle Larson. He's kind of like Chase Elliott. He gets the ownership bump with DFS just because of his name. Is that going to offset his lower ownership because he's not good here? I don't know for sure. But I'm good at, so my first run of lineups, I ended up with Larson at 20%, and I could see myself going higher there. Don't you think Byron's a little too overpriced? Not necessarily, because this is a really easy slate to fit in these higher. Like, there's so much chalk place differential down the board here that I'm not taking into account salary at all. In fact, I think that the fact that people are thinking about Byron being overpriced is going to drive down his ownership, which makes me want to be overweight on him. So no, I do not think he's overpriced. And I think people that are saying he's overpriced aren't, like, it's not a big deal this week. So I'm glad that people are thinking that, because it makes me, I think that's exactly what I put in my write-up about Byron, is he's priced up there with the Blaney's, the Logano's, the Chase Elliott's. People are going to start stuffing them in and overlook Byron, which is going to drive his ownership down, which is where I want to take advantage and bring my ownership up. Like I said, he's really good here. Blaney is winning. The script has already been set. If you like that, I'm honestly surprised. Like I said, I think he's plus 250 at Bet365. Over at FanDuel, he's like 7 to 1. At least he was this morning when I was looking. Let me pull up FanDuel real quick. He's plus 750 on FanDuel. And honestly, with FanDuel is allowing us to kind of cover our asses today, because these other books have Penske so favored, where you can grab Blaney at plus 750, Logano at 10 to 1, and Cindric at 12 to 1 on FanDuel, and then like sprinkle the longer shots at other books. Like, there's a lot of interesting betting opportunities today. I'll just say that. Hands on. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. 2 musts in single entry. Single entry, I'd probably, as far as a must, man, that's a tough term. I'd probably, if I'm building strict single entry lineup, I'm probably going I'm probably starting Byron, Chastain, and going from there. maybe Byron Suarez. But yeah, I think Byron's going to be a must for me in single entry. But I'm not a huge fan of single entry contests today, just because because you have to make those. There's a lot of weeks that I stand firmly and I make my decision, and I'm fading this guy. I'm staying away from this guy. I don't have that this week. I'd rather play the large fields and adjust my percentages that way. I like Justin Haley today. I talked about him on Stacking Denny's earlier this week. I think I have him in my way too early lineup that Nick and I did on the podcast this week, where we made the DraftKings lineup before qualifying or anything. He's really good here. I think he's finished top 12 in 5 of the 6 races on New Atlanta, if I remember right, which obviously, previous track record doesn't guarantee future success, but I do like Haley here. I like his starting position of 21st today is going to make him so low owned. I like being overweight on Haley in large field GPPs. Maybe a single entry. I don't mind throwing in a Haley there. As far as who to pair with him, I mean, you kind of just got to. There's no outside of his teammates. I don't have anyone specific. Let me find these. See if I can easily find these lineups that Nick and I made. Yeah, so my lineup that I made on Wednesday when we recorded the podcast was William Byron. See, I've been on Byron since your early week. Byron, Elliott, Suarez, Chastain, Stenhouse, and Haley. Which surprisingly, that's a lot of for that being made before qualifying. There's quite a bit of this isn't a bad lineup. I might enter this in this Chrome Horn. If I'm being honest, I'm going to. I don't hate this lineup at all. It gets you off the Toyota chalk entirely, but you still have the chalk with Trackhouse and Stenhouse, and then you got HMS, Byron and Elliott, who are the 2 best drivers at Atlanta after Logano and Blaney, and then you got this random, true tournament GPP play of Justin Haley here. I do not hate this lineup at all. And actually, as far as point per dollar, cheapest point per dollar of my projections after qualifying and everything, 4 of those guys on this lineup are in my top 5. I'm throwing this lineup in. And I entered both Nick and I's contests or lineups that we made before qualifying into the $3. I want to track how they do. And honestly, Nick's isn't awful either. I like Nick's as well. I'll put his on the board here. So he went Blaney Logano, Christopher Bell, Chastain Stenhouse, and Eric Jones. I love that lineup too. Maybe not going Blaney and Logano, but this is not a bad lineup by any means. I think we're going to have a lot of fun this week or this year making lineups before qualifying and seeing how they do in the actual race. It's something I've wanted to do for a while because one of my biggest pet peeves is DFS analysts truly saying this person's going to be great at DFS this week before qualifying and before practice even happened. Qualifying is so important in NASCAR DFS that you cannot definitively make those statements. So this is just kind of a knock on that, but also just having fun. So I'm looking forward to this. I am going to put in this lineup as well into the $4 Chrome Horn. Like I said, I want to see how these do. And wouldn't it be fun? It would be hilarious if one of our early week lineups took down a GPP this season, or just give me a top 5. That would make me so happy. Not for the fact that, like, obviously if you're top 5, you're probably going to profit. Just the fact that, that would make me happy to see that. All right, Blaney Logano, Christopher Bell, Ross Chastain, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., and Eric Jones. Now this one's interesting again because stays away from the Hamlin chalk. By the way, this is my 5th lineup in here. I don't have a single Hamlin lineup. I think I found the guy that I'm gonna be underweight on, as I said. Stays away from the Hamlin chalk. Stays away from the Gibbs chalk, but still has decent chalk here with Chastain, and the Suarez chalk. Stays away from Suarez, but still has Chastain, Stenhouse, has the pivot to Eric Jones, and then has Bell. Yeah, locking that one in. I like that. Do you like the softer pricing? I like that they make the softer pricing for. I don't enjoy softer pricing at more predictable tracks. I like the softer pricing at Atlanta, obviously at Daytona and Talladega. I don't like softer pricing that we often see at road courses. That I don't like that. But yeah, I like the softer pricing here at Atlanta. All right, I'm going to go back to my early week lineup here. So Byron Elliott, Suarez, Chastain, and obviously I was playing the teammate game here. Stenhouse and Haley. I'm just going to switch this. I'm going to go Haley to Jones and Stenhouse to Gibbs. I'm going to lock this one in, and then I'm going to do another minor pivot here. Chastain, Suarez, Chase Elliott, William Byron, Ty Gibbs, Eric Jones. Also, as always, still save big on my content on rotoballer.com. Use code NASCAR or Jordan25, code Jordan25. I think you're going to get 30% off, and that's for the entire season. You'll get it all for, I think the price, it gets it down to 130. So make sure you, if you haven't subscribed, make sure you do. A lot more in depth. All my projections, algorithm predicted finishing order goes on there. My bets, you get them as soon as I place a bet. I put it in our Discord and I alert everybody. So Byron Elliott, let's go. What if we went Larson here? Do the HMS stack with the Trackhouse stack and then finish it off with, fuck it. Go SVG here. Let's have some fun. I agree. I think I think you can have a decent idea of yes and no though, because it's hard to know or it's hard to figure out who I'm thinking of like a Richmond, where there's typically two dominators. It's like you have a list early in the week of who should be like you probably have like 5 or 6 that are like, okay, these are probably going to be the dominators. But you still have to nail them, the two out of there. And then, the random weeks where we get someone that doesn't go out and qualify or something happens, they spin in qualifying, like that's where it's gonna definitely shake things up a little bit. But yeah, I think I'm interested to see how this works and how we do. All right. Let's go to some of my random lineups I got built over here using the optimizer on Rotoballer. Here's the one that's okay. This is a lot of place differential here, but Byron, Denny Hamlin, Daniel Suarez, Chase Briscoe, who we talked about earlier, Ross Chastain, Michael McDowell. Definitely playing the place differential side here. You're not having the dominator, but Hamlin chalk, Suarez chalk, Chastain chalk. But then you get what should be the lower owned guys of Byron, Briscoe, and McDowell. This is a decent lineup of mixing chalk with pivots, I think, and still having the place differential upside. And like I said, I think I might like Byron a little too much today, but hey, I'm not going to be mad about liking and being overweight on a guy that's won twice at this track. Let me see here. Briscoe. McDowell. The only one I don't particularly like in this lineup is McDowell. If I was going to switch anybody out of it, I'd probably take McDowell out and go. You could go Gibbs if you really wanted to, but I'm just going to throw Jones on there. Actually, no. Give me LaJoy. I don't have anything with LaJoy yet. So instead of McDowell, I'm going LaJoy here. Byron, Hamlin, Suarez, Briscoe, Chastain, LaJoy. No Bell love. Can we try with Chase? Absolutely. I have one Bell lineup, but yeah, I don't have a ton. I also only have one Hamlin lineup. I'm trying to. So I think those guys have huge upside. They should be chalk this week. I like being underweight on them, but I'm not intentionally going this underweight on them. Ironically, the next lineup in this like randomly projected lineups that I did earlier has Bell on it. So let's go and Elliott. Blaney, Elliott, Bell. Sorry, I'm losing my voice. I'm getting a little sick here lately. Denny Hamlin, Ricky. This ain't working. Yeah, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and Hocevar. Gets us off the Trackhouse chalk, keeps us on the Gibbs chalk, gives us a dominator in Blaney, a race winner potential in Chase Elliott, a low-owned pivot to Hocevar, and then the Stenhouse play, which is going to be like medium chalk. Lock that one in. Let's see if there's another one here close. I'm really liking. Oh, here's another one, and it has. I see. It's exactly what I wanted. So we'll do another one here. Byron, Chase Elliott, Christopher Bell, Chase Briscoe, Ross Chastain. This one has the one that I have built in the optimizer has LaJoy in it, but I'm gonna go. Give me Riley Herbst. You could even go up to Jones here. I like that. I like the first five here. Byron, Elliott, Bell, Briscoe, Chastain. I like that. I'm gonna put in quite a variation here of lineups with this first five build. I also like doing that when I build lineups like this. I like to just do small pivots of one guy, which I mean it sucks if Byron and Chase wreck out, obviously all of those lineups are dead. But I think it's kind of fun to do. I like the Briscoe play. The more we're going on here, the more I'm liking Briscoe. And like I said, this is getting off the huge chalk of Hamlin. So, okay, and then Herbst. Yeah, I like Byron a lot today, guys. I do. I hope Ross is good today. Me too. Here. Not sure if you can see my shirt, but I got my Ross Chastain shirt on today with the moose. I love this shirt. I joined the Moose because of their sponsorship of Chastain. I've always questioned how much NASCAR sponsorships actually work. And that's one that did. Late to the party. What's the strategy with Toyota? Obviously, they're chalk. You need to have exposure. To me, I like being underweight, specifically underweight on Hamlin because he's going to be so high owned back there. I like shifting that ownership over to Gibbs a little bit because he was so good here in the fall, and I think he's going to be the lowest owned of those back there. I'm probably going to stay with the field on Bell, but yeah, I'm going a little underweight on Toyota and the chalk. And that's my contrarian brain and how I play DFS. So that's my strategy today. I definitely see the upside with Toyotas today. I think they're going to be strong. I like being underweight on some of the definite chalkier ones. Hocebar could be low ownership. Yep, I agree. And I agree with you as well. I don't love it. Any bets I've kind of mentioned them earlier in the stream, but also they are all posted on rotoballer.com. Use code Jordan25. They're also in the Rotoballer Discord on which bets I'm on today. I'm on a few outrights. I'm on a couple top tens. I got a winning manufacturer bet. There may be a couple more. I have a decent amount of bets in today. All right. Back to where we were at. Okay. It was starting with Byron, Bell, Chase Elliott, Briscoe, Chastain, and then yeah. What if we Oh man. I was looking at pivoting off of, so this is a lineup I put in before. I was looking at pivoting off of Chastain and going up to Larson. I'm going to do the same lineup with Jones in it instead of Herbst. And come back to this again. If you guys got any comments like this for like lineup starters or prompts, go ahead and throw them in the chat. We'll talk about them. We'll break it down. So I did one with Herbst, I did one with Jones, and then I'll do one here with LaJoy. Yep, that's a good point too. Yeah, this isn't like there's definitely other things to consider this week in addition to the like we have to think about a lot more at Atlanta than we do at Daytona Talladega. Goodford starting top 11. Okay, so quick overview. If you want more in depth, go back to this recording, go to the beginning. I talked more in depth about this at the start. But here's the thing. There's so much talk being laid on Blaney, Logano, Cindric as they're probably going to control this race. And I agree. I think they are going to, there's a very good chance that they can control this race. DFS-wise, though, there is also a significant percentage that, one, they don't control this race, and two, something happens to them. It's nowhere guaranteed because them starting that far up front, they need to lead laps and they need to finish top 5. That's just how the math works with these guys starting up front. So to me, yes, I have them projected decently high today. I have Blaney projected. It's one of my highest projected drivers on the slate. I have Blaney 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th highest. I have Logano 8th highest and Cindric 9th highest. So obviously, I think these guys are going to be good. But strategy-wise, I want to go underweight. I'd rather pivot to a guy like Kyle Busch, who has a little bit more place differential upside and has shown that he can lead here. And then there's so many place differential plays even outside of the main chalk this week that you can make really good lineups with potential dominators starting mid-pack or worse. Chase Elliott and William Byron could both be dominators today. So, yes, I think the Fords are going to be good. There's no reason to think that they won't be up front a lot. But if they're not leading and they're not finishing top 5, they're not making the optimal lineup today. So I'd rather play the chances of them not and being underweight. Pivot off Briscoe and Suarez for Bowman. So let's go back here to this build. I want to get Kyle Busch on this. So I want to go Byron, Elliott, Kyle Busch. And we'll get back to this about Bowman here. I want to stay here with these three and then go chalkier and do like a Stenhouse. Let's go Gibbs. Oh. I'm landing on Eric Jones a lot today. I don't mind going like even going down to SVG here and leaving a good chunk on the table, or like the LaJoy's down there. kind of looking up. I'm going to put this in with Jones and then come back to it. Byron. Oop. Exactly. We need Austin Hill out of Penske. And the potential is there. They have the cars to do it. We saw it in the races last year. Cindric led 92 laps in the fall last year. But, you go back to the first race, Cindric led 32, Kyle Busch led 28, Logano led 27, Blaney led 31. McDowell and Gilliland led 27 and 58. Who's to say there won't be the McDowell and Gillilands this week? But I agree. Yes, we need the Austin Hill type performance. All right. Let me. All right. Yeah, Kez has upside for sure. I like Busch because he starts a little further up front, and to me, there's a higher chance that the RFK cars drop to the back. Although, Kez led 47 and 19 here in 2023. Buescher led 39 in 2023, second race. I don't remember where they started. Whether they started up front and led. But yeah, to me, Kez is another pivot off the Penske guys today as well. But here's an interesting line from my ones I generated earlier. Cindric, Kyle Larson, Christopher Bell, Daniel Suarez, and I'm going to switch this up a little bit. Alex Bowman, and Ross Chastain. So what if I like Larson this week, obviously. To me, you can. Is that too many guys starting too far up? If you go Kyle Busch there, you could also go like a Bubba. Or a Buescher. If you wanted some. Let's think here. I'd probably cut off Cindric if I'm going to go Buescher. So give me Kez. I'm going to take Cindric off. I 100 off. Damn it. I was hoping to get up to Chase. Briscoe or Eric Jones, I like them both as tournament plays. I'd probably go flip a coin. Yeah, I don't know. I like them both. Far as lower owned than they should be. If I had to pick, gun to my head, probably give me Briscoe. Custer low owned. Yeah, I think Custer's going to be very low owned today. I have him projected at 5.27% ownership. It's like stage winner bets or props just dropped. For those that are that have Nick's alert set up on Action Network. Like there's some solid stage winner props. Might have to jump on those myself. All right, going back to this lineup with Larson. Just man, I want to get to Bowman. If we go Stenhouse instead of Chastain, Bowman. Man, that's a lot of forward guys. That's a good mark to hit. Try to hit 50. No, a little concern. I mean, but not enough for me to stay away from him. There's going to be movement in this race. Just a second here. I'm just looking at some bets here quick. I still don't know if I like Byron in this line. I think I'd rather go with like a Briscoe in here. Two chalk plays of Gibbs and Stenhouse. You got Larson in here. I need some more Hamlin exposure, so I'm just going to go with this. Hamlin, Larson, Blaney, Briscoe, Stenhouse, Gibbs. For those that don't have the alert set up, Nick got Chastain at 100-1 to win stage 1, and Bell at 80-1, which are very good values. What do we do with cash line? This is such an awful week to play cash, because what it's going to end up being is maybe there'll be one or two small differences, but it's going to end up a head to head with one driver. And I don't like playing cash already. That's not my type of DFS contest to play. So I don't think this is a good week to play cash. Hey, Bet365 let me get down $4.69 on Chastain, stage 1 winner. See if there's anything else that sticks out to me here. Nothing too crazy there. Yeah, there's just too much chalk. So you can't put together a solid cash lineup. You're kind of just hoping, and I don't like that if I'm playing cash. Who do I need some more exposure to? I only have 3 lineups so far with Hamlin in them. I only have 4 with Gibbs, only 5 with Bell. It's like I didn't want to go over like lineups like this, but you could easily start this week. Just go Hamlin. Like these are just pure cash. Like not cash, but like the safest routes to go. And you need, if you're max entering, you need lineups like this just to cover your bases, I guess. But I would look elsewhere on building. But like Hamlin, Bell, Suarez, or even Chastain, Stenhouse, Gibbs, and then your pick of whoever you want. Just pure place differential with this. And you could even throw in a Suarez in there to really like here's an interesting one. Like I said, I built a bunch of lineups earlier using the Rotoballer optimizer. Again, if you haven't signed up for my content, use code Jordan25. You're going to get, I think, 30% off. So make sure you sign up there. But here's an interesting one. We're going to start Denny Hamlin. We're going to grab Kyle Busch. We're going to go Larson, Suarez, Reddick, and Chastain. So we got 1, 2, 3 big chalk guys on there. I want to get off of Bush here and maybe go to like a Brisk or a Busher. But that becomes a question. Who's your dominator? You know, you're hoping it's Busher here. If we go Cindric, go Hamlin, Cindric, Larson, Suarez, Reddick, Stenhouse. Yeah, I'll do a Logano lineup start next. Or come off of Suarez, go down to Bowman, come off of Reddick, and then go either Briscoe or Chastain. Because we have Hamlin and Stenhouse, I'd almost want to go. You could even, I don't know if you'd want to go off of Reddick here. Or go to Chastain, or go to Reddick here because you have only two of the super chalk guys. I think I'd rather go to Briscoe and kind of lower your risk there a little bit. But hell, you could even come down to McDowell. I'm just going to do Briscoe. All right, let me find one that sticks out to me with Logano in it. Start there. My worry with Logano is, I mean, it's a long race, but like, especially at the start, I think Cindric and Blaney are gonna try to just control the lead, definitely. Logano's one of those guys that I don't see him being a dominator, but he can win the race. All right, here's a fun one. What if we go Logano, Kez, Hamlin, Bell, Hocevar, and you go Bowman here, or Reddick, or Chastain, or Stenhouse, or Briscoe, or Gibbs. Let's go. I'm going to go Reddick here. Ganakes, Hamlin Bell, host of our Reddick. All right. Nick hopping on today? No, I think I messaged him before I went live, and he said he's having some computer issues, so I don't think he'll be on today, and I'm gonna have to jump off here in a little bit anyway. Let's see. Let's look at this. Bush, Bell, Elliott, Suarez. Yeah, I mean, this is. I forget what my optimal projected is today, but I think it's close to that. Not a bad lineup at all. I mean, this is, this is one of those lineups where you're probably gonna you'll cash, and if you take it down, you're gonna split it with 100 other people. So just keep that in mind. It does keep you off the Hamlin chalk. I like that. We talked about switching over to Gibbs off of that. But yeah, I'll go ahead and lock that in. Yeah. Last 5 stage 1 winners have started. Yeah. I think it's gonna be Blaney or Cindric for sure. But I like having those 80-1 or longer shots to root for. Do we have a rain threat? No. I think it's 5% chance today. Here's a good question. Thoughts on Barry as a contrarian dominator? I'm not there because I don't get there on it. To me, Josh Berry. No. Where's he starting? 3rd? Because Gilliland's starting 5th. Yeah, but I said the same thing about, other guys. But it's the same way I don't see Zane Smith as a dominator today. Could he get up there? Yeah. I don't see Todd Gilliland as a dominator today. Potential to get up there, but it's not someone I want to get super heavy on. So I'm not on Barry today. 36, yeah, just go to stackingdennies.com. I think I tweeted out the link. If I haven't, I have a bunch of tweets scheduled, so it's on my timeline somewhere or will be. But yeah, stackingdennies.com. Get your picks in if you're playing. Let's look at this one. Logano, Elliott, Hamlin, Chastain, McDowell, Jones. I like it. I can't knock this lineup at all. I'd maybe. It kind of depends where you want to go. Do you want to go Logano or do you want to go Blaney? I think Blaney has the higher upside to dominate, so I'm probably going to, with this, I am going to go Blaney. Or you could even go Cindric if you wanted to. I'm going to go Cindric. I got 4 lineups with Cindric in it right now. I got 3 with Blaney. No, I'm going to go Blaney. Blaney, Elliott. But yeah, you can't, to me, if you're the rest of that line, the Elliott, Hamlin, Chastain, McDowell, Jones, then you're just choosing your Penske or you're choosing Kyle Busch, I am going to switch this one up, though. I'm going to go off of Jones just because I have quite a bit of Jones today. I want to keep it where I'm at. I do like Jones, but I don't want to go too wild. I'm going to go LaJoy instead of Jones. And then instead of Chastain, I'm going to go Suarez. Okay. Yeah, I don't have it's technically on that site. I just made the URL stackingdenny's.com to make it. I just forward it to the actual page. I haven't taken the time to actually put the direct link like on that homepage of that website. I email out every week a reminder. I'm going to try to every week. So yeah, LaJoy is technically an open car. So for 36 or 36, you can't take LaJoy. Let's look at this one. Logano, Larson, Wallace, Bell, Suarez, McDowell. Yep, you could also go Gibbs if you want to get super chalky there. I mean, if you wanted another place differential chalk there. I'm going to roll with this one. Right. I might get off of Bell here, though. I have 8 lineups now with Bell. Just trying to limit myself here a little bit. Get my Stenhouse up a little bit. Stenhouse. Stenhouse, Logano, Larson. I want to get more Larson. These are just the 20 for this Chrome Horn, but I want to get more Larson for sure. Just looking at some of these ownerships. Larson, Logano, Stenhouse, Bubba Wallace. Reddick and Gibbs. I like that. If you have any more questions, throw them in. Otherwise, I'm going to jump off of here, finish up my lineups, and get ready for the race. Let's see here. Playing any Ty Dillon, think he'll be competitive in a college car this year. Yeah, they're on super speedways. I think they have good cars. Dillon impressed me last week at Daytona. Am I on him this week at Atlanta? Not a ton. You know, starting 20th, that's tough. He's going to need to finish probably top 10. And I could see, like, let me check. I'm at 5% on Ty Dillon. Out of the lineups I made this morning, 5%. Just got normal strategy. Yes and no. I mean, Atlanta, you have to also factor in the dominators. We're going to see it's definitely not a bad. We've seen top 10 starters get in the optimal here at a higher rate for sure than Daytona and Talladega. So you need to have that exposure. But with that being said, there is so much place differential potential of good drivers this week that I think this could be the week or the Atlanta race where we maybe only see one top 10 starter get or be one of the higher scoring ones. But yeah, it's definitely the potential is there, and you need to account for that with the Penske guys starting up front and being able to dominate this race. Same with Kyle Busch. RFK cars are up there and they can win. But I love the place differential plays, not only the ones of stack the back, but also like Chase Elliott, Kyle Larson, guys in that range. There's a lot of ways you can go this week. This is a fun slate. I could probably sit here. It locks in 2.5 hours? I could probably sit here for the next 2.5 hours and still and just keep building lineup after lineup. Like that's how much you could do this week. There's so many different ways you can go. It's fun. It along with fun, it's going to be frustrating in the end because it's going to be tough. This is tough to predict. But no, I think we should see a good race. I really do. Yeah, same to you. Good luck. Like I said, hopefully this is a good race. Good luck to everybody. We'll get back on the more predictable train next week, starting with the real races, quote unquote. Got COTA starting next week. So got a road course coming up and get away from this, the what ifs of DFS and get to a little more confident builds. Yeah, that'll be fun. COTA next week, then Phoenix, then Vegas, then Homestead. Like that, those are going to be. That's a solid next month of racing there. Not that Atlanta. Hell, the truck race and the Xfinity race were awesome, and I typically don't watch the truck or Xfinity race, but those were fun to watch. I think we'll get another good show here in the Cup race today. Again, thanks everybody that tuned in today. If you haven't subscribed to my content yet, use code Jordan25, rotoballer.com. Get you a nice little discount there. Get all of my premium content for the season, my algorithm predicted finishing order, my DraftKings projections, lineup strategies, optimal projected lineup, picks, not to mention all my bets. I'm coming off my best betting year ever last season, and I'm ready to repeat this year. Keep it going. Again, if you have any questions, throw them in chat. I'll stay here a little bit longer and see if anything comes in. Lots of good discussion today. This was fun. I don't think I posted my optimal. It's a lot of chalk for my optimal today. Let me pull it up real quick. Yeah, so my optimal, as far as my projections go today, looks like this. Chase Elliott, Denny Hamlin, Christopher Bell, Suarez, Chastain Stenhouse. Not a big fan of using all the cap today, but that's where my optimal's at. Loves Chase Elliott today. I really like William Byron today. So yeah, I'm going to hop off here. Thank you all for tuning in. Again, rotoballer.com. Use code Jordan25. Jump in that. Yeah, that's a good point. No Fords in my optimal. They start showing up like in lineups soon after, but the very top of lineup, yeah. So here's one as well. Blaney, Hamlin, Bell. Suarez, Chastain, and LaJoy. Leaves you a healthy $1,000 on the table, salary cap wise. Get you 2 forwards, get you Blaney and LaJoy, and then the chalk in between. Again, this is going to be a really chalky lineup, I think. So if you do take anything down with it, you're probably going to split. I like the little pivots today. I just like them, but that's how I work. That's how I've always played DFS. I have the contrarian brain, and it's one of those things. You either lose your ass or you win big. There's no in between. As far as how I play. Yeah, very hard week to play cash. And I don't play cash. Like I don't like playing that anyway. All right, guys. There's nothing else. I'm gonna jump off here. If you have any questions, hit me up on Twitter. Hit me up on the Rotoballer Discord. I'll be around for a little bit longer. We'll be back next week. Talk about Coda. Nick and I will be recording Stacking Denny's on Wednesday, 4:30 p.m. Eastern time. Make sure you tune in. We'll be doing it live right here on YouTube and everywhere else to preview Coda, and then we will. I'll be doing the live stream to build lineups for Coda next week. So good luck to everybody today. Hopefully we see a great race. Thanks for tuning in. See you guys.